Well, hello, friends and fellow pioneers. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I'm super passionate about. Now, if you're watching live, I want you to stick around. There's going to be a lot of show and tell. And I am going to allow some time at the end for Q&A, but just know we cannot cover where to buy all of these things on this broadcast. This is about introducing you to some ideas, some inspiration that you can hopefully start using right now. And maybe you have a lot of these things and you haven't prioritized using them. And so this is for inspiration. I will give you the option to contact me at the end and we can collaborate and talk about, getting you more information and details. But I want this to really just be about the general idea of how to reduce waste. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you're watching live right now, I just would love to know about what stewardship means to you. And if you're motivated to reduce waste more because of the environmental impact or because of savings or because you just really like to be efficient and effective, what's your motivation to tune in and listen and learn about this topic? Jason and I have completely different perspectives on how we go about this and what our inspiration is. So I know that some of you watching have different motivators, and that is why I'm inspired to ask. So I would love to hear from you. So this will be somewhat interactive. If you're watching and you ask questions, I would love to address those. And also, for those of you watching the replay, just comment and let me know what are some of the things that you're interested in and want to know more about. So the reason that for those of you that don't know, we have been on this journey for about 12 years, and I didn't really start talking about it until about 2020 online when we launched our YouTube channel. But there's this proverb, this ancient wisdom that says a prudent man foresees danger and takes refuge, but the simple goes on blindly and suffers the consequences. That is a huge motivator for Jason and I to have launched in this Producing Freedom Academy and to have launched the YouTube channel. It's so important to us to be faithful, to prepare, not just for ourselves, not just for our family, but to also be a lighthouse to others. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, Jason and I left our careers and our comforts behind in 2011 to learn how to homestead off the grid on raw land without any previous experience. That includes we had never been camping together, we had never developed land, and so on. In 2020, as I mentioned, we came back online to tell our unique story of survival and new framework for resilient living. So I do want to share that if you are married, the things that I'm about to share, it's always much better if you're on the same page. So, if you decide to do something, some changes that you're considering, just make sure you have as much of your family on board. Otherwise, it can be a little bit counterproductive, okay? In Ecclesiastes, we learn that two are better than one because they get a better return for their effort. So, as I mentioned, we have been on this continuous long season of building kind of an ark for ourselves, preparing for circumstances that we foresee. But also now we are working on building a lighthouse to be a light for others. And so I have this new initiative that we'll be launching soon called Lighthouse Pioneers, to shine the way for preparedness, to shine the way for truth. And so this is a combined effort for that initiative, our Resilient Pioneer podcast and our Producing Freedom Academy. From our journey, Jason and I are both learners, and I realized that we had amassed so much information, but that didn't give us the confidence to know what to do with it. And I realized, and I had this revelation, that true wisdom is knowing which information is relevant, valuable, and actionable. So I'm going to share with you things that are relevant, they're valuable, and you can determine if they're actionable, but they were actionable for us. I also want to share with you that to understand the importance of like untethering from consumerism, it's important to understand there's two paradigms, right? And so the consumer paradigm is to buy, spend, and consume and create liabilities, sometimes debt, on goods and entertainment, and there's really no return for investment. But as a producer, people invest, they grow, and they sell their abundance. They create assets. They invest in skills and infrastructure, and they have a positive return on their investment. So that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? So I also wanted to address something that we teach in our courses, in our academy, in our classes, and everything that we do. We want people to understand the difference between ideals and convictions. Ideals are based on fear and wanting to control things and people, and it actually can leave you hopeless. Convictions are based on truth, and you're managing, you're stewarding, you're directing, and you have plans, you have strategies, and it's based on truth, and it creates a faith-filled experience. And that's what we want for you. Now, I'm always introducing things that sometimes are countercultural, and I live by biblical wisdom. And I know that the things that God considers wise sometimes look foolish to the world. Sometimes the world agrees that it's good to be some good stewards and things like that. But consumerism is a really strong force. And I just want you to know that some of these things that we're doing, I mean, I know they're not popular. That's okay with me. And if you start doing them, there may be some resistance or some opinions from people about what you're doing, but there's no way that we can expect that the world and the things of the world and consumerism are going to agree with the things that we're doing, because it's not the wisdom of the world. So if you're watching right now, kind of check in with me. Let's see, let me check the comments here. And hello to those of you who are watching. Let me know, like, is this a lifestyle for you? Are you a person that just really loves to be like super efficient, super effective? You like to conserve, or are you watching because you're concerned that these consumable products may cease to be available? Like maybe they'll be scarce and you kind of want to prepare ahead for that. I would love to know what your motivation for watching is. Okay, so I have this concept and this idea that I share with people that go through our mentorship and our master classes. And that is that, again, in the wisdom of, just having that wisdom of Proverbs, that we kind of sense that there's some things that are going to happen, right? In Uno, there are these special cards, and they're kind of exciting in the game of Uno. Like, you don't really know, right? You don't know what you're going to get. They're unexpected yet common. Like, they are things that are, I guess it's not really unexpected in Uno. It's I guess you don't know exactly when they're going to happen. But they're game-changing moments when they show up, right? With these unpredictable challenges. You don't really know what's coming. And so I propose to you that we can start predicting the unexpected and expecting the unpredictable. So if we looked at us stewarding our families, our resources like that, then when there's scarcity, we really have other means to get things done that is not dependent on these consumeristic products. So what are the benefits? Well, the benefits and the blessings from intentional stewardship is that we reduce waste. So it's something very positive. We don't have as much waste. I mean, what if the trash pickup stopped coming? How much trash are you producing right now? What if you couldn't pay for the trash bill and it stopped coming? Or, what if you were in an area where there was no trash pickup available? How much trash are you currently dependent on having picked up after you? Okay. That's just one very tiny example. That reduce waste in energy. How much energy are you currently dependent on consuming? And so we're reducing waste of resources and we're increasing savings and actually creating more capacity. So here I'm going to share with you the top 10 lists, just a preview, and we're going to actually unearth and go through all of these. So let me know in the comments if you're ready to go. So number one, most important thing of this concept of stewardship to reduce waste of consumable products, we're going to talk about defining what you want to do. We're going to talk about water. We're going to talk about packaging. We're going to talk about storage. We're going to talk about disposables. We're going to talk about some compromise on being flexible in what you can use. We're going to talk about paper products, dish things for like washing dishes, dish sponges, and things like that. We're going to talk about energy and cleaning and personal care and health. Okay, so the number one most important thing that you can do is to define your conviction. Okay, I realized in the journey of pioneering that there's this sequence that whatever it is that we want to pioneer and create, the conceive, right? What precedes that is that we have to have a strong conviction and reason why we're doing it based on truth. Okay, so define your conviction so that you can have the courage to do whatever it takes so that you can conceive the outcome that you're after. So why are you doing this? How will you measure success? How do you know when you've done enough? Do you know that there's a difference between being efficient and being effective? That really hit me like a ton of bricks when I learned it, because I was so concerned with being efficient. I would do that at the expense of being effective. One example is, old school example is like clipping coupons. You could be really efficient at, let's say, saving money, but not very effective at the use of your time. Okay, and I'm not talking about super couponing and all the different things. I'm just talking about just in general. Okay, so we can talk about that with things like water usage and other things. Okay, you have to look at the effort and the output. And then something important to do is to set incremental goals so that you can get started today. Okay, so my story, my genesis story of this is, and the reason I have this little image about coffee there is because when I was a little girl growing up in Venezuela, my mom would sometimes take me to these programs at the public library. And there was a video that changed my life, and I don't know if it's because that's the way that I already was. There was something inside of me that loved conservation, or that video put it in. But regardless, it was an explosion of inspiration. So this was probably like 1985 or so. And I have no idea how to even explain who the people were or anything like that. I have no reference. I even contacted the library to try to find it because I wanted to see it again. But anyway, a long video of this family that would recycle and reuse and repurpose everything. And I just remember them taking coffee grounds and using them for their plants. And I just thought it was like so revolutionary to me. I always grew up, we had land in the country, we had a farm, but we didn't live there. That was our family farm. I lived in the city, and I became I loved, being a creative person. I just love the idea of repurposing and recycling things. So for me, it is just like like my DNA, I want to create, it's like I want to create abundance with everything that I have. And the way that I measure success, really now, the way that I measure success is that as long as I'm not being ineffective, I'm being successful. So because I used to spend a lot of time trying to save or create and doing things, then it was counterproductive. How do I know when I've done enough? I mean, for me, I want to have no trash. So I'm incrementally always working towards that. And we, Jason and I together, we don't want to depend on any utilities. So that's going to vary. We're very intense. I already shared about the difference between being efficient and effective. And so let's go on to water. And if you're watching right now, if you already do some of the things that we're discussing, or if you have some ideas or suggestions on other things, I'm not going to be able to cover everything. Again, this is just something that I've been wanting to do to give a summary of ways to reduce waste of consumable products. So one way that you can reduce waste is with water filtration and storage alternatives for water. Okay, and so I have some examples here, and it's about to get interesting because I have a lot of show and tell. So I'm going to actually change my screen. See how we can best do this. Bear with me. Okay, so water filtration and storage. And so we have learned so many different ways and so many different things to do. And so what I mean by water storage, I mean, it's not just like large amounts of water, storing large amounts of water. I'm talking about just in general, like reducing your or using reusable containers for your water. So this may not be anything new to you, but just the more options that you have, the less likely you're going to be to participate in purchasing bottled water or those kinds of things. Okay, so something that I use all the time is my water bottle. Okay, and so this is actually replacing, plastic, at least on the bottom where my water is stored. This is a compromise, but this is a way that I can use any wide mouth jar as a drinking cup. So I use this one and I use this one quite a bit. And so even just sometimes it's not just to be on the go, it's just no spill or no flies getting in there. It's just a nice option. Okay. And so this is, again, I'm just trying to introduce to you maybe some old things, some new things to expand the possibilities for you to be inspired to reduce plastic waste. And when you reduce waste, you're actually increasing your savings also, okay? Because buying bottled water is, especially the small bottles, you're just kind of throwing money away. But okay, so let's just talk about water storage first. Now, if you're like in the desert, camping, off-grid, like hardcore, don't have running water, these spray bottles, especially, you want to get like a better grade. We've gone through a lot of stuff, but so if you don't have like a sink with running water, or you're camping, you're on an RV trip, whatever, and you are not hooked up to running water, you can put, so we have different water bottles. So this one's got vinegar. I don't know if this one's soapy. No, I think it's just vinegar water. I use this for different uses, like cleaning and stuff. And then you can put just only soap and water in a jar, in a spray bottle. And you can use that for cleaning your hands. It works really, really well. Super efficient and effective. And, you're relying on having a really good quality tool here so that it's the Achilles heel is like you have to, once this stops pumping, it's difficult, but This is great. This is one of it's a lifesaver, okay, for that, because if you're having to like haul water or carry water or buy water like that, then you want to reduce. Now I get excited about reducing sometimes even more than I get about savings. Okay, so I'm just excited we're using less, no matter what the reason is for using less. Okay, so another thing that kind of relates to storage, but just the use of water. Okay, we're not talking about filtration yet, but I shared this in another video, so I'm not going to go into like super lots of details. But having a container like this for transporting water, not transporting, for using water when you're taking a shower. If you're taking a totally off-grid kind of shower and you are using a bucket or something like that, this will save you tons of water. Okay, so this is not so much storage, but transportation use. Okay, let's see if I have something else on water. I think that is pretty much it. Sorry, I'm totally looking around. I do actually, when we travel, store our waters in these jars. This is how, other than a 5-gallon, we do have a 5-gallon one of those plastic ones as backup, but like my favorite way to do it is I have these half-gallon jars. I used old socks or something like an old sock, and I put it in here so that it doesn't bang into each other and crack and break. Okay, so this is and you can store water on a counter too, but okay. And obviously these are fine for transporting and storing water. All right, so as far as water filtration, some people have systems that require electricity, and so you want to look for things that don't require electricity and you can use no matter what. So if you're in a no grid situation, then a gravity fed system is a lot better than any other options. Also consider that those gravity fed systems, like for example Berkey or some other brand like that, the filters really do last a long time. But what about when they don't? Or what if you've had them stored and they get moldy and all of that? Okay, so we're always looking for what's like the most resilient way. What's the next best thing to not be relying on consumerism? Because again, even if the filters last a really long time, you still are dependent on the filter for the for the system to work. Okay, and so when I say here in the bullet point, understanding the commitment for filtering water is understand the commitment. For example, if you use these, the commitment is safety. Like you need to, like, otherwise you're going to have a mess. If you're using a gravity fed filtration system, the commitment is you're going to need more filters. So one alternative that we have secured the plans for, but we're still in planning to implement it, is a sand filter. And so it's a large, you use gravel and sand. It's just this large one. And so basically it requires no electricity. It requires you're basically creating your own filter. Okay. I realize that for some of you that live, like if you live in an apartment or something like that, that may not be feasible, but most people have like a backyard, or, many of you watching may have land. And so my encouragement to you is look for ways to have at least one option that requires nothing. Again, like this, if you have one of these, hey, I know I'm going to be able to take good shower requiring less water because I have a good tool that requires less water. Or, hey, if I'm right here, I don't have a better option without requiring the pump. But again, the idea is have as many backup options. We normally try to have 3 different ways to do any given thing that's really important. Okay, so again, it's really important. Just think about what's the next thing that you can do to become more resilient, and set a goal to reduce waste and become more resilient in that thing. So in this case, water. How can you get started today? Like, are you drinking out of are you participating at all in drinking bottled water? How can you reduce your waste that way? Okay. And that's what I want you to look for and write down inspiration of things that you can do. So let's move to number 3. It's so food storage alternatives. So I've shared with you now, this is going to show up over and over and over again. Let me go ahead and make my screen large again. Okay, so food storage, I use these for a lot of things. And something I wanted to mention to you is I've seen that a lot of people are using actually the vacuum sealed with like the Mylar bags. And I mean, I want you to know there's another alternative. Now, in 2020, when things happen around the world, this option became unavailable or hard to find. But what we did and what we use is, if you're storing if you're storing food in glass jars, wide mouth, Jason built a pump, a vacuum pump. So it's manual. So you need no electricity. You need no Mylar bags. You do need these jars, these, okay, but they're reusable. And so as you use your as you use what's in here, then you have you can use that again. So I never got excited about vacuum sealing in my Mylar jars. It's just like, again, in my DNA, it's like against my conservation religion. I don't know. I can't do it. Okay. I'm not into religion, but it is kind of like that. It's just like conservation. Like, I don't get excited about anything that requires consumable products. So again, this will show up many times, but for food storage, you can not just store it on your counter, but for long-term storage, you can actually vacuum seal this. Okay. You can contact me afterwards for that. It's kind of a complicated thing that custom thing that Jason built. And so one of the things that I want you to think about is also, I wanted to add, when you are storing food yourself, so like if you buy in bulk and then you're going to put it in jars, make sure that you freeze any grains, seeds, or anything first, so that, like, if there's any bugs or anything in it, then you can kill off any eggs or anything that came from the warehouse and that kind of thing. Okay, so you want to make sure that you freeze it to extend the shelf life, to protect it, to preserve it. And then if you do have a lot of freezer space, my thing with freezing to extend shelf life, like just store for storage, is that versus canning, is that you want to have backup. And remember, we always recommend 3 backups. So like if you have solar, that's 1. If you have a generator, that would be 2. Okay, that's what I'm saying with backup. So okay, let me see here. Think about, I'm sharing with you just our journey, but what else could you do to store food in a way that you have not considered before? Now, I try to avoid plastic at all costs, but I have like hybrid things that I use. So like this one here, I don't like these things because, I mean, I like the actual product, but then I don't like it's not durable. Okay. So then this is a consumable thing. I mean, of course this can break, but all glass can break. But then you get into the issue with the lids, they break. Okay. So this is kind of a compromise for me, same, half and half. But with I'm going to show you. So instead of having like all these different kind of plastic containers, you can have different jars. And the beautiful thing about these jars is that you only have to have 2 sizes of lids. Okay, so you have your wide mouth lids, and now these are storage lids that you can use. Now this is good for like dry goods, but it's not a no spill one. But this one is supposed to be spill proof. Works pretty well. Okay, so again, this is a culmination of my journey over 10 years I've tried so many things, and really, I just you have your jars, and they're 2 sizes of jars, and then kind of 2 functions. I don't buy these anymore because it only takes a couple of times, like water spilling, for me to stop. That was not a pleasant experience. So is this giving you some ideas on how you can store your food? And again, I'm talking about storing food for not just at home, but like when you're on the go, what are some things that you can do? So I want you to think about how else can you store and transport your food that doesn't require plastic, and that doesn't require you throwing away, like using plastic products. Like, I mean, Ziploc bags are it's one product that I try to avoid using. I don't want to rely on those things, because the disruption to your life when you don't have that anymore, for one, and two, it's plastic. So it's not just environmental impact of the trash, but you're putting your food in plastic. And that's a topic for another time, but we do avoid using plastic as much as possible. So again, set a goal. If something that I shared about food storage alternatives inspired you, then I do want to say one more thing. Then write down some things that you can do. So I will tell you that something I get excited about is when you buy food in bulk, you do have to think about how you're going to store the smaller portions, right? But one of the benefits of buying food in bulk, at least from where we buy it from, is Azure, and I can put a link in the description below. I did do an interview with David Stelzer, who is the founder. But one thing that I love about buying food in bulk from our sources is like we get it in paper so we can compost. So we're not. It's a means to transport it, but it's not like adding a burden. It's actually Actually, there are 2 uses that I see for this. One is compost. Actually, 3. In the garden, it could be if you're like have an area that you want to kind of have a weed shield. You can open it. There's actually like a lot of discounts double because it's like that. But starting fires, I have kind of a story about that, and you'll just have to watch our Genesis story of me becoming the resident fire starter and stuff. But I'm always looking for opportunities to use things that have multiple uses. Okay, so like I'm looking for 3 uses to anything that I choose to have. So how can you be a better steward of transporting and storing your food? Write anything down that comes to mind for that, so that you can have a reference for later. Okay, so in the food packaging, so we talked about food storage and food packaging. So touching up on food packaging, again, I talked about buying in bulk. Can you buy those products in bulk? And have you considered growing your own? Is that a possibility? Like even if you're in an apartment, now most of the people watching, again, have more means of space. But even if you're in an apartment, and actually Jason and I started out 10 to 11 years ago in an apartment growing food. So can you grow your own herbs that you can use for teas? Can you grow your own herbs that you use for cooking or medicinal uses? Can you grow your own greens? Why is that important? Well, not just the quality of what you're using, but you reduce the waste. Like, have you ever bought the greens that we used to buy, and we just have bunches of these boxes? I no longer have one to show you, but they're like these plastic containers, and they're pretty big. And I looked for so many different ways to try to reuse that to make myself feel better. But it's this huge plastic container to keep like the salad greens and the baby spinach intact, so that it doesn't go bad as quickly. Well, that was a lot of waste. And then when we started growing all of our greens and we stopped buying that, then I didn't have to worry about the corruption of the organic food industry. I didn't have to worry about what kind of compost and things that they were using. And again, that's a story for another time that I would love to address as to why we stopped really even being confident in buying organic certified foods and even local organically grown foods. But there's so much stuff that you don't know about how food is grown. And when you grow it your own self, then you take that power back, and then you reduce that whole transportation cost. You reduce that whole issue of, hey, that food is not even alive anymore. The first 3 hours of after any food is harvested is when it's most rich in nutrients. And so you actually like taking back your health, the quality of what you're consuming. So I highly encourage you to think about what you're buying and that comes in packaging. Like, is there any of that you can conceive growing yourself? I mean, you can even start in a little pot and grow from there. And everything counts. Every step that you take towards reducing waste counts. It really all compounds, just like trash compounds. Also, the reduction of it, that effort produces more. I mean, it reduces the waste and increases more savings for you and less things that you have to worry about. And so I also want you to think about, in the food packaging aspect, like what are other ways that you can not just produce the food, but how can you acquire it more directly, so you're reducing the distribution, the chain of distribution from that product being grown or produced or harvested and getting to you, whether it's meat, whether it's grains, whether it's milk. An example for many people is, you can buy milk at the store that is pasteurized and stored in plastic, which you really don't want your fats stored in plastic as much as possible. You want to avoid that. But if you become part of a co-op where you buy milk directly fresh, then there are many that you can actually, you provide the jars and you trade them in every single time. So you actually are not dealing with plastic at all. So you're not dealing with the plastic affecting your body. You're not dealing with any plastic waste. Well, you think about it. If your family does drink milk and you do care about that, then how many gallon jars are you not going to produce a year, or participate in producing a year? How many bags are not getting picked up by the trash that contain those plastic gallons of milk waste, and the empty gallons of milk? And it just goes on. Like, it quickly can really add up. So I know that some people do not have that option available, but if you don't look for it, it's like seek and you will find, right? Knock and the door will be open to you. The more interest that people have, also the more encouragement for producers to offer these services. It is really hard for people to organize these co-ops and things like that, but the easier that you make it for them, the more interest that you have and actually be consistent in buying it, the more motivated they will be to produce food for their local customers. So again, another use for that half-gallon jar. And I can tell you one thing, I could not buy those for like a year and a half, from like 2020 to 2021 or something like that. They are hard to find. Don't try to buy them online. Look for them locally, like at your Tractor Supply. I'm trying to think of other stores like that. I mean, Walmart, obviously, your grocery store. Sometimes, I think I've heard like craft stores or something like that, but look for gardening stores and things like that. Another thing I wanted to share with you is there are a lot of herbs that you can grow. And then if you have land, you may have things growing that you can use, consume, replace things that you're currently buying. So for example, Jason always wanted to try this tea, and I always mispronounce it. So it's like Yopon, something like that. Holly leaf tea. So you have to really be careful though that you identify it correctly. We had two similar trees and we thought it was one and it was not. And so make sure you have someone confirm to you that it's the right thing. Never eat the berries. But we wanted to, we like having tea sometimes. This is and I know that you can't see it. I have it in this glass jar, but I have all of these leaves. Let's see, from that tree. And so it's like a really nice sweet tea. Okay, what I'm not producing here is like, I'm not buying a bunch of little, if you ever figure out how much tea costs per pound, like if you take it, when you buy that little, and I don't have any examples anymore, but when you buy a box of tea bags, the price of that is, I mean, it's depressing is what it is because of the packaging, because of all of that. So you can reduce waste and add tons of savings if you start growing anything that you can consume. It's really important though, like grow stuff that you are already using. Don't just get the idea of like, oh, let me try this new tea. No, try the tea, see if you like it, then grow it. Ask me how I know. We've done a lot of wasteful growing of things that we didn't really enjoy eating or consuming. And so, for example, you can make like there's so many berries that you can make tea from the berries. So I love strawberry. I would take strawberry leaves and mint leaves and make a tea, and it's just delicious. Okay. And so look for ways and opportunities that you can grow things that you can use the leaves and the fruit. So are you getting some ideas from this to think about, think a little bit more creatively and look for opportunities to acquire and store and transport things in a way that is more responsible, like with a stewardship mindset? Please let me know, comment and let me know what things are coming up for you. And then set up a goal. Let me know if you are writing down some goals. What are you going to do today? What opportunities are you going to look for? What not doors are you not going to knock on to become an even better steward of your resources today? So number 5, we're going to talk about disposables, alternative to disposable products. Now, one, I really like, we had some of these that were plastic. These are great for camping and minimalist living, transporting it to like a picnic. You know, it's like for so many things. But we find these that are, I believe they're titanium. And now I'm going to change my screen again so that you can see better. Okay, so it's not a spork. It's actually a fork and a spoon. These are longer. The one that we used to have, I had gotten it like an Eddie Bauer store or something. They were a lot shorter, and it's not as fun as an adult to eat with small utensils, especially when you're like eating it in the air and stuff. So for comfort, we recommend these. Just contact me afterwards if there's like something specific and you want to get the same one or whatever, but we don't promote a specific brand or specific store. I'm just telling you some of the things that we have found. Okay, so I have a lot to say in this because again, my goal is to be zero waste. So we have this, and some of these things are kind of expensive, you know, one-time investment. We don't look at things as expensive. We just look at like, what is the value that it provides us? What's the opportunity for savings long term, and also resilience, because that has a lot of value. Okay, so this bag, got a little bit dirty there, but this bag has, I don't know how many pieces. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that it's in a bag and you pay a premium for that and it fits in a bag. But it has a lot of different options in here. I don't know if it's 4 or 6. I think it's 4. But you have all of these sizes and configurations of dishes, and you get 4 a piece. So small, like if you're camping. So basically, this can like feed a small army of people, or us for people that have like various needs, and you need to have a bowl and plates and different things like that. We've used it for off-grid camping. We've used it for trying out eating out of it. Really, stainless steel is wonderful, except if you're going to eat fermented foods. I prefer to use glass or some form of other thing, because you don't really want to put acidic things on metal. Okay, so I wanted to show you something else. If shifting to, oh, sorry about that. Shifting to another type of like Corelle is not I'm not a huge fan long term of Corelle, because when they do break, it's not a pleasant experience. But they're really easy to clean. They're really smooth, and we just have like the white. I found these at a thrift store, and I had this huge box for like $22 or something. I had a huge set. So, you can do that for whatever will motivate you to actually wash the dishes, instead of continuously buying good quality disposable plates that you're going to throw away. And also, I bought these for hosting. And we do live tiny, but we do host also. Okay, so that doesn't stop us. And we do have this huge picnic table where I record from. I'm recording from right now. But one year they had these at our local grocery store. That's like a super store, and I really like these plates, and I really like using them. And this is was my motivation to just stop buying disposable plates. Now, I did used to buy these. I was looking for talking about compromising. Okay, I did used to buy. I call them like these little boats, but like I don't know if you ever went to like a ball game or something, and they that where they serve the chips and stuff. I stopped buying those because it was kind of a waste. And the reason I like buying those is because they were compostable. Like I could put them in the compost, but anyway, I'm just always looking for like, can I have another use? There's no other use for wax covered or whatever plates, in my opinion. I mean, you don't even want to burn them. But I was going to show you. So my happiest compromise for buying paper things is these paper bags. You can use them to start a fire after you've used them. As waste, they can start a fire or compost, and they're so thin. But I use them. Sorry about the noise. But if you need like some we were talking about like chips, popcorn, things like that. I'm not doing like my best work here on, but you can actually, for dry foods and things like that, I keep these. I don't buy paper plates, but I do have a bag of these, and we use them for a variety of different things. And if you just have to kind of eat on the go, or kind of distribute food, this is an option. Again, it doesn't work well if it's like super oily or wet or soggy or heavy, but it's an option, and we use it all the time. And obviously for storing things, so this is an alternative to plastic. It's an alternative to Ziploc bags, and just make it work. I mean, there's things that I hadn't tried it, and then I tried it, and I was like, it's not that bad. It really can work. If I want it to work, kind of like how they say that there's a will, there's a way. So I do have this bullet point of understanding commitment. For the majority of things, you're going to need more water. And that's where, let me explain this. If you're in an off-grid survival situation and you have you don't have disposable things, the way this is going to get clean is with water. If you replace your napkins with cloth napkins, or my favorite is these little, I don't really know what they're called, like washcloths, or I'll have a label here. I got these like at Walmart, and they sell them. I looked for napkins for like 10 years to find the best ones because most of them are not absorbent. So I decided to just assign these as napkins. And so we use them for all sorts of use in the kitchen to replace paper towels and to replace napkins, right? But just understand that reducing the use of, using paper products sometimes increases your, either you're going to want to assign, like, again, this is in a situation where you're trying to really reduce all resources, all use of resources. Like if you are eating like a sandwich or popcorn or something, you don't probably need to wash this napkin afterwards. But if you're eating like eggs or fish or something, obviously you do. But anyway, just being more conscious that the more cloth products you use, the more water you're gonna need, okay, to wash these products. So that was a big, when I was like going for zero waste, I got pretty close, pretty hardcore and pretty close. But then I realized, oh, what if I don't have water? Then I really don't have, I mean, you only have you run out, like, okay, you have 100 napkins, and then how do you clean, after that? Okay, so it's the same thing as with clothes. You can be more minimalist of having less clothes and you wash more often, or having more clothes and then you do laundry less often, that kind of thing. So again, being efficient and effective it's a tango that I had to learn. And sometimes it was like a really harsh reality for me. I just really want it to work. Okay, so how can you replace, I guess, how can you stock yourself with resources to be able to be more resilient and more versatile? So the word that I'm looking, more versatile, versatile when you are in situations where you can't go to the store. Okay, and let's just for a moment talk about, you can't go to the store, or the store is closed, or the store doesn't have what you want. Those are all things that we've experienced in the last 2 years here in the United States. In other countries, like in Venezuela, where I'm from, it could be like, and actually I did a video on this. It could be, hey, we don't have internet. We can't take your payment. We have everything you want. The store is open. We have electricity, but we can't take your payment. So go away. Even if you prepaid it, we can't write it off. This happened to me. So this is what I'm speaking on. We can't check it in the system because we don't have internet. So the store is only open to people that have cash. Okay, so the usefulness of that resource diminishes. Or let's just say, I mean, they could limit the amount of gas that people buy. Like you may start thinking, hey, I'm only gonna, like, let's say that you have an allotment of how much gasoline you can buy. Like right now, people may be thinking that they're limited to buy gasoline because it's cost prohibitive. But what if there's a rationing of gasoline? Let's think about this. We've already experienced a rationing of electricity here in Texas during the storm. People call it snowvid and dark winter, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so the reality is that there may be reasons why you may not have access to these consumable goods and services. So what is something that you are inspired to do to reduce your dependence on disposable products? What is one thing you can start doing today? And comment and let me know whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. I would love to know what this is inspiring you to do. So I actually kind of jumped ahead and we talked about some compromises. So we can kind of skip on that. But to recap, plastic lids like this one and this one, and also the storage one and this one. Understanding that the commitment that if you know that you're not going to have very much water available, that paper products, if they're available to you, may be a better option because it's just effective. Okay. And so how else can you replace disposable products plastic products or wasteful consumeristic products and still be responsible? Let me know if something comes to mind as we're talking about this. So I also mentioned to you that the paper product alternatives. Now, this is a topic that's going to be fun to talk about, but first let's talk about the paper towels. So paper towels, this can be a good, these little wash towels. I don't really know what they're called. Bath towels are wonderful. They come in like different colors. Normally it's like a pack. They come in white and like just a bunch of colors. Normally you can't choose just all one color. I think it's like a variety, but I avoid white myself, but I don't use bleach, so I try not to use bleach products. This is a great thing, not just for cleaning dishes, but also for like a paper towel alternative. Again, you want to remember your water needs on replacing this with that. Now, something that I'm passionate about and a new season in our lives. I've always wanted to figure out how to replace toilet paper. Now, this is not the fully grown version of this, but there are two plants. Again, don't ask me the scientific name right now. I don't have it. But there are two plants. This is more of a tropical plant. This is more an herb. This herb is called lamb's ear, and it's actually edible, and it has many medicinal uses. So it has many uses. But I don't know if you can notice the beauty of this, but it could be a toilet paper alternative. It can also be an alternative for like a bandage, like if you are in a situation where you don't have band-aids, you can use it for that. Again, there's this one. So something super funny that happened recently. We had never done a tour before, but we did this private tour after we spoke at the Exit and Build Summit. And it had just been watered that morning. And so I was passing these around and they were wet. So anyway, that was some fun conversation there. But no, these are clean and these have not been used. I'm not going to recycle those. But if you're in a situation where you're doing a composting toilet, I'll just go ahead and talk about that right now. If you're doing a composting toilet, all you need to have a composting toilet. I do not, by the way, like any commercial composting toilets. Let it just be clear. I prefer just primitive 5-gallon bucket toilet, sawdust or mulch, that kind of thing. But you can buy these. There's stores like Academy that have a 2-pack of these, and I think they come out to, well, they used to. I don't know what they're now, but like $6 or so for a piece. But so you can get, I don't know if you remember watching, or if you haven't seen this video, I have a video called like our top 10 most favorite products under $50 to have for off-grid emergencies or something. Now I talked about having 5-gallon buckets as your minimum. So one of them you want for this. So this has not been used, not to gross you out, but it was stored. But this is what it looks like. It's a lid that fits on a 5-gallon bucket, and you can have a portable composting toilet. And that's a topic for another time on how to make them the most effective for separating liquids and solids and all of that. But what I want you to know is, so if you are in a situation, okay, that's primitive survival, and you are growing your own toilet paper, you can compost it. I mean, it's just part of the ecosystem. So moving on, how is this inspiring you to consider new experiences? So in the future, our goal and our dream is to have some survival weekend experiences for people to come, and we walk them through the training wheels of what it's like to go from that consumeristic lifestyle to creating a survival refuge. So if that's something that you're interested in, stay tuned or contact me. So how can you reduce waste with your paper products? What can you do to get started today? Now, we've already touched on the dish sponge. This one, like a cotton dish towel. But here's another favorite of mine. See, the cotton dish towel, you're dependent on growing cotton or having fabric and these little fun, mesh things. But a simpler solution is growing the loofah gourd. I love this one. Now, this one I did not grow. It was a gift. And we've tried to grow our own. There's seeds in here. I was hoping. So there's seeds in there. I don't know if you can see them, but let me attempt to show you the seeds. Did you see them? Do you see them? I will be trying to plant this because this is my favorite. So there are different kinds, but okay. So you have this whole one. I've had this for years. You cut a piece and then it's your own sponge. Like, this is turnkey, ready to use. And like, this is in use. You can see it's a little soiled or whatever. I use this. It's a sponge, and this is not synthetic. Once you completely destroy it, I guess it's compostable, but it's durable. One thing I don't like about dish sponges is that you just have to, it's such a consumable thing. So you've got the little dish towels. You've got this. Option number 3 is you can knit your own or commission someone. I actually got this from some missionary friends that are raising funds for a medical mission trip. And she sells these for I think it's like $3 a piece. What a amazing deal. But she hand knits these and it's pretty large. And if you want to support their efforts, you can get, I think it's I can't remember what the quantity is because I think it was like 3 for $10 and 4 for something or whatever. But I can connect you with her. It's called Oasis Ministries International out of Cincinnati. Okay. So, and we actually met him in Mexico, which is kind of funny because we lived in similar areas, but we didn't meet until we both were not living in that area anymore. But you can learn how to make them or commission someone to make them. And there you go. Like, you do not have to be dependent on sponges. Now, some people grew up not using sponges at all, and they use these. But again, if they don't, they don't have them at Walmart anymore or wherever you buy them, then you can ask a friend that knows how to knit you some, or support a missionary or some other fundraiser, and you have that need met. You can knit them or crochet them. You could grow your own or come up with different ways that you can. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you can just use your hand if it's not super soiled. What can you do to reduce your waste in this area? Let me know in the comments what this is inspiring you to do. Now, number 9, we're getting close to the end. Alternative energy. And so I am not going to do as much show and tell on this one. I have photos and pictures that I can send you, or will probably do other videos. But I'm going to touch up on some things. And I have done interviews about some of the alternative cooking methods and energy methods. But so one thing that we changed is I really don't like buying batteries. I don't like how guilty I feel for having trash that's batteries, and then I have to find, the responsible things to go find somewhere to recycle the batteries and things like that. And then you have to have all these different sizes. So for years, I was like, how do I become free from needing like AA and AAA and the 9-volt and D and whatever all the different things are? So we started using, the first thing that we started using that were rechargeable products were headlamps. And we used to love these. Okay, the thing is, this we have like a graveyard of these because the Achilles heel of these things is sometimes all of this works, but then it won't charge. It stops charging. So this was the first one. This was the second one. It's just trash. It won't work. So you don't always get what you pay for. These were not like super cheap headlamps. You get what you research. So it's good to read reviews. And I want to give you a little pointer about that. Read 3-star reviews, because 5-star reviews are people super excited maybe right when they get it, or 1-star reviews when they're mad that it didn't work out. But 3-star reviews a lot of the times will give you the more balanced view, and you can learn from it. Like, I had this experience and this is what I did. That's my pointer, my shopping pointer for you. From all my years shopping online and doing research online. So right now there's this one brand that we really like, and it's that. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't know if it's Nebo. I have no idea, but we found it. We actually have 3 of these, okay? And we have a large one that is Jason's. I actually did a video where I shared that I bought that one for his birthday like last year, 2 years ago. It's an awesome flashlight. Actually, no, that one, I stand corrected. The one that's the huge one is not this brand, but then he bought another one that he really, really likes, and it's this brand. And that was the first time that we learned of these. And then we've gone on to buy, so we have that one, this, and his headlamp, which I don't know what he did with it. But this one is a new thing that we found. Now, I can't really display this on this hat as well, but like a baseball cap. It actually, you put it on and you can, clip it on. You can clip it on the side of your pants or your belt or whatever you use, and or clip it onto your hat. Our friend Maverick had it, and we were like, oh my goodness. So we actually didn't buy the exact brand that he had. This one's a little bit less expensive, and it was our favorite brand anyway. But the concept we learned from him of having like the clip-on flashlight, and there's many options, and feel free to reach out if you want to have the like exact link that we use. Again, we do not promote any specific retailer for this. You just follow your convictions on who you want to support. But look for things that have multiple uses. So this is a great flashlight. It is rechargeable. It does have its own kind of charger. Now, I really prefer things to have interchangeable chargers, but it's a magnetic little charger. And anyway, this is like indispensable. Okay, so like you need one. Okay, and like I don't push products at all, but you need lighting at night. If you have any kind of emergency with your vehicle, like this would be something good to keep in your purse, in your backpack, everywhere. Okay, your go bag. Because again, if you have like a hat or on your side, you always know like you can have it on hand and accessible for checking on things at night, or in the event that you have like checking on animals or checking on things like that, or if you're caught again where you have a flat tire or things like that, just having extra lighting. It's just, I cannot speak enough about having a headlamp, and I wish I could show you Jason's, but maybe for the next video. I just wanted to go ahead and record this video because it's been on my heart for a really long time. I only did the top 10 products under $50, and probably most of these products are under $50. But I only covered 10 things, and as you can see, we've covered more than 10 things and more than 10 uses. So enough about that. These are all rechargeable. Now, this was my favorite battery, rechargeable battery product that we had, that we got into, I think it was 2020. So it has like a little fun little clip on, but this is a flashlight and also an arc lighter. So let's see if I can, you might be able to see it if I do this. You see that? So what's good about that is if you've ever tried to start a fire and you're out and it's humid, it's windy, or any other thing that makes it hard to start a fire, this is great because it's not affected by that. And so it's kind of like having a rechargeable match. And I really like that. And I don't like butane products. I don't like having to refill them or be dependable and all of those above things. So, I mean, this does require electricity, but we have, remember how I told you like 3 ways? So if there's any way to plug it in, you can plug it into your vehicle. If you can, we have a solar charger, we have the vehicle, and we have regular electricity. So there's, it's a lot better than matches or a butane. In my opinion, my humble opinion, it's better than that. So again, these, let's see, this one does have like that standard kind of universal little, I don't really know what the different chargers are called, but I do like that this charger, like a lot of things work with that kind of charger. Specialty charger, watch for that. Now, this is something that I looked for a long time. I always wanted, I didn't even actually care so much that it was solar, but bonus, this is a solar light. Now, if you know us at all, you've probably had me show this off. You would think I sell them. I don't even have an affiliate link, but I love this. This is like, it answers a huge need. If you're in an off-grid in a building and you're off-grid, or tent camping and you're off-grid, or whatever. We used to have, I'm going to pause this and tell you why I love them more than ever. Not to love products, but I love the solution. It's like when people solve problems and they do it well. I'm looking for something and it blew off, so hold on. Let me get that. Okay. All right, it fell underneath the table. Okay, so there's this brand, it's Lucy. Okay, these are Lucy lights. And then this one was like a off. We were buying so many things for off-grid use, and Jason was like, okay, I'm going to get the generic brand. Generic brand. There's 2 things I don't like about this generic brand product. Number 1, it's this inflatable product, and any kind of things like this I don't like, because guess what? It has a hole in it and it won't stay inflated. But the idea is that it's going to be like inflated like a little lantern, and it creates this area for light. So we had these. I knew these weren't going to last very long. Okay, so this is the Lucy light, and I think this one's kind of out, but I tried to charge as many things as I could before now. But I don't like this, even though it's an awesome brand and all of this, because if it gets punctured, even if it's a quality plastic, it doesn't matter. Just the concept of it, I don't like. I don't like plastic products, and I don't like fragile things, because then once they break, there it goes. It becomes waste. I hate producing waste. So I know this is plastic, but I meant like, fragile plastic. Okay, so this you can charge, and check this out. It has a flashlight, and then the rooster wants to say something. Okay, so this is self-contained, which is fabulous. But just imagine being in a dark tent or a dark room, and you charge that. It has, and I know you can't appreciate this because I did this during the day, but you have all this lighting, and it's just wonderful. I just cannot speak enough about this. So if we have a power outage, as long as the sun is out, like I know we have a lot of things that are solar, not just our solar system, but our solar generator and our solar lights. And again, I know that it's harder to appreciate this right now, but I think I have even used it for recording at night. Hello, Rooster. That's our Roo, affectionately known as Roosty. So what I wanted to show you is this. And again, you may not be able to appreciate it, but that's low, medium, high. And then again, the flashlight. So it has 4 settings. The other, this one, these ones are working. It has several settings. Also, it has low, medium, and high. And it also has that SOS flashing sign. I think that's it for my rechargeable products. What do you think of this? Other than Roosty, what do you think about this so far? Are you learning something new? Are you being challenged to look at things in a different way? Do you have some things on your to-do list to buy or look into? How can you do better in this, in this category of using alternative energy? I'm just only going to touch on the fact that there are so many different ways that you can produce energy and generate energy. Okay. And so I only put biogas and solar. There's many others, but these are just 2 that, we have systems about and can speak on. But you can totally learn more and more and more of different ways that you can generate, produce, and use energy. So again, I'm going to put a link to an interview that I did on rocket stoves with a gentleman that designed the best rocket stove in the market today, Silverfire. We just can't say enough awesome things about his products, but look into rocket stoves, look into gasifier stoves, into really effective designs. Most retail stores do not have awesome products like this. And I don't even know. There's no words to describe. When you're in an emergency situation, you want the best design. And that is why we put our stamp of approval, design, survival approval, engineering approval. Jason just loves these products because of this. Let me tell you this. It's not just the design, the quality and all of that, but when you're in that survival situation, when you're in that emergency situation, and you don't have or don't want to use up all of your wood or cut down trees to keep, keep stock on your fuel, those products only requires like little twigs. You can use like, I don't have a little twig right here. Hold on. So this could be considered kind of waste, right? Like the tree doesn't use this anymore. It's just waste on the ground. This is fuel. Okay. And so you can use just a few of these things, and like with an effective appliance, you can boil water with, obviously not just these 3, but you can boil water. And again, you don't have to stress. Like, I now know that on our property, we could go a really long time with the resources that we have without having to cut down trees, because we now have better products that don't require as much fuel. So think about that. Don't just think, oh, I have a place where I can barbecue, or I even just a conventional rocket stove. Look into these things, because the peace of mind of knowing that with just a bundle of twigs, you can boil water. If there's a boil notice and there's no electricity and you have no propane, how are you going to boil water? How are you going to how are you going to cook? How are you going to do those very essential things? So I will invite you to look into our playlist for alternative energy solutions and check out Silverfire. Now, I will tell you that that company was in process of moving, and it may be a little bit hard to get some of the products, but get them while you can. Really, we have not found anything better than that. And learn how to have your sources on learn how to start a fire, learn how to start a fire with this. I didn't bring, one of my favorite little things is Jason got I think it's a 10x Fresnel lens magnifying glass thing. Learn how to start a fire multiple ways, okay? So that you can have heat if you need it, if you can have a fire if you need it. So that's enough about rocket stoves. Again, you can contact me, you can email me to aurora@producingfreedom.com, or leave me a comment below to remind me to put the link if somehow I forget to, but I will try to get all of these things included in the descriptions. Now, you can generate your own electricity. One of the things that I really hope Jason will do for us soon is create, with a bike, you can do like a blender. You can power up a blender. I cannot wait to have our smoothies powered like that. We've had our smoothies powered, with solar. From the blender was powered with solar energy, and that's great, but I really want to do the bike. Recently, if you know us personally, you will know that Jason finally got his e-bike. He wanted to build his own. He had blueprints, and he's looked at so many different options. We even almost bought a used one years ago, and then we ended up buying a new one last week. We ordered it last week. It arrived yesterday, or the day before yesterday. It arrived on Monday. And so Jason has a new e-bike that he's been using, and he is loving it. Of course, you have to love riding bikes, right? So he loves riding bikes, but this e-bike gives him the opportunity to go 28 to 36 or 7 miles per hour. It's like having kind of like a small motorcycle without the special license that you have to get for a motorcycle and all of that. And when we lived in Mexico, he had a little scooter motorcycle thing that he loved riding to work. So he's having a great time. It is an investment, but like I said, we almost bought a used one for like $1,200, and now we had it delivered for that or less. It was like on sale for like $1,095, and we have this $40 off coupon. And so it was delivered to our door for less than, that's again our Roosty doing his Roosty things. So we had it delivered. And so in just a few months, he will replace that. We will get back our investment from what he was doing his driving. Especially, if the gasoline continues to go up, then it won't take us long to justify the cost. But it's not just about replacing the cost of gasoline. It's about having an alternative way. So it's powered partially. You can just only do it as the e-bike, but then you can power it, be co-laborers in the production of energy with the bike if you're pedaling, and help it go faster. And so you participate in creating your own energy, and you just take back some power, take back control, literally. Okay, so what are some ways that you can generate your own or redirect your spending and your use to be a better steward of these consumable products and services that we use on a regular basis? Comment on the chat and let me know what you're thinking, how this is inspiring you, what ideas are coming to mind, and what are some of the things that you are willing to consider now, maybe after hearing it again or thinking through it together. Let me know, please. What are you going to do to get started today in reducing your dependence on consumable products, consumable batteries, and fuel, energy, the way that you cook? So let's move on to cleaning and personal care. Now, earlier I already shared with you the value of having some professional grade or commercial grade spray bottles. You can do your own cleaning sprays with vinegar. Some people use essential oils. Some people Use vinegar plus like orange peel. You can do so many different things, but you have to be intentional about wanting to try and then having something that you can use. Something that I mentioned in the video that I referenced earlier about our top 10 survival products under $50 is the stainless steel soap. So I'm going to show that again. So this comes from the idea from chefs who um, cook and get their hands kind of smelly with like garlic and onion, and they use stainless steel soap. So if you have body odor, you can actually use this to clean and deodorize, or to deodorize. Instead of using your soap for deodorizing, you can use this stainless steel to replace that. You can use this first and deodorize, and just only use your soap for actually cleansing, and not so like it reduces your need for soap. And so I know this is wild, but I love it. And I know that I don't look like I am, living primitive in the jungle, but these are the ways that we think and we have lived and continue to, appreciate and live in a way that our lifestyle is just about stewardship. Okay, so again, you can reduce your need for soap, for this reusable soap, just stainless steel, and you just use a little bit of water. You don't need a whole lot. Again, if you're in a situation where you are stranded, or this would be something you would want to keep in your go bag, you're stranded, or you're camping, or you have any other situation where your supply of water is cut off and you have limited water, then you can feel it. It helps you to feel like you've cleansed yourself, even though it's just deodorizing. If you don't have the fancy soap here, you can use a cheap. You can go to like a Goodwill or something, or look at in your drawer, kitchen drawer, for a weak spoon. Okay, so we have this spoon that was like, oh my goodness, it's like, oh, this is the weakest spoon. And now you see the similarity. So I took this stainless steel spoon, and so like when we go places, camping and stuff like that, but this is my backup. You can probably get this for just a few cents at a thrift store, and bend it yourself, and then it actually is kind of extra useful, and you probably won't drop it as much as I dropped this. Is this making sense to y'all? I know again that these are maybe, I'm challenging you to think outside the box here, but when you're in an emergency situation, you don't really want to be thinking about this. You want to prepare and plan ahead, and know that you can be way more comfortable and way more prepared to take care of your needs and your personal care without needing so many consumable products. So think about it and brainstorm how else can you produce more of your own things, use more creative products, and break free from consumerism in that way. Now, I use, there's times that I've kind of made my own essential oil kind of things. We grow a lot of herbs. I want to diffuse our own. It's on my list. I haven't quite done it yet. I create my own like magnesium spray, and you can do different sprays for things. You can make your own toothpaste with baking soda and different things like bentonite clay and salt, and I've tried so many things. Coconut oil. If you don't want to do that, but you want to have like tooth care or dental care that is simple to store and keep and transport, I like this way much better than toothpaste. Is a tooth powder. We get this through Azure, but again, it's just really great, and it is in a plastic bottle, but it's for dispensing. It's like this. You can just kind of pour it out, so you don't need as much. Well, if you look at it, it kind of you just don't need as much room, as much like with toothpaste. I actually don't feel it's like as hygienic because it's like a wet product. So some things to think about as you're preparing to even stock up on products, like what has like good shelf life, what makes you feel like, I mean, if I open this, as long as this doesn't get wet, I don't feel gross about, like I do with toothpaste, about like how it can go back in. Does that make sense? So I believe that I have shown you all of the things that I wanted to show you. I'm just looking around. Oh, one more thing. So I know a lot of times we meet people and we sound a little serious, but when people actually come visit, even friends, when they actually come visit, they realize we're way, way, way more serious than we are. And I realize that you're watching this YouTube video and you may or may not know us. And I'm so glad that you're here and you're allowing me to challenge you for such a time as this on being better stewards of not just the environment, but the resources that you're managing. But anyway, this is a journey, a lifestyle that we have wanted for a long time. But for the last 12 years, we have gone on a fast track. And every year it gets more intense. Like, we don't get less intense about this. So if you're wondering if we're genuine or for real, if I'm acting, I am not acting. I did not borrow all of the, I mean, I emptied we live tiny, but this is my life that I had to bring out here and put in this tote and prepare. So I realized there's a lot of acting out there, and there's a lot of pretending, copying content. I am not copying content. So these are all my things. So this is deodorant. We have not purchased deodorant or shampoo maybe 9 years. I don't know. It's been a really long time. So this right here, ask me in the comments for like recipes and stuff like that. This can become like a whole video. Maybe I will do a video on do it yourself deodorant, but this is homemade deodorant. And I honestly, to be so honest and transparent, I used to think it would be just gross to have deodorant that you applied like this. I don't know why, but I obviously got over it. So this is great, and we really like it, and have been using some form of this recipe for, I think, around, I don't remember, 8 or 9 years, something like that. Our Roosty is having to, I guess, alert his girls that something's happening or that he's here. I'm sorry about the noise. So that's deodorant. So I want to encourage you, like most of your personal care products, you do not have to buy or be dependent on buying packaged products. And not only did we reduce waste of all of the containers that we're not buying, but now I can invest in like really good quality ingredients and create our own. And I know exactly what's in here, I know exactly what ingredients that we purchased, and it reduces our dependence, and it is more beneficial to have all the ingredients, but because it's my own recipe, I can control it with what I have available. I also have a friend that uses magnesium spray as her deodorant, also because she couldn't use this. Sometimes when people, what you don't realize is that you have to detox like your skin to be able to kind of transition into these kinds of things. And speaking of detoxing, I have been using, so I told you we haven't bought like shampoo either. So I use this method to wash my hair. I actually washed my hair yesterday, and it feels great. I never thought that I didn't grow up like this. But basically I just use baking soda and apple cider vinegar. So baking soda is for cleansing, and it actually apparently detoxes your hair. So you notice my hair is super long. I'm not trying to make my hair grow longer, but it makes your hair grow because you're detoxing your scalp apparently. But I just did it because I wanted to do something that I knew the ingredients, and I used to, I know what the ingredients are. It's baking soda. So I know where I buy my baking soda, and I can get more quality baking soda if I want. And then apple cider vinegar. So I use organic apple cider vinegar. So it's a whole process. And maybe I'll do like a personal, each one of these topics can obviously be its own video to talk about all the details, but I just want to let you know that it's available. I mean, I had friends that shared with me, hey, I have a deodorant recipe, and I'm like, yes, I want to try it. And I had another friend say, hey, I don't use shampoo, and I'm like, oh, I am totally interested. So that was like 9 years ago. And so then I use it and I figure out how to make it work for me. And well, what that means is, like, as you can see, baking soda is I told my best friend, I said, I cannot teach you how to make baking soda, but I can teach you so many ways to use it for your benefit. And so it's personal care, for medicinal, for cleaning, and so many things. So I just encourage you. We also encourage you to think about these things and keeping the right ingredients on hand that have a lot of uses, at least 3 uses, right? But it could be 10, like baking soda, dozens of uses. I did record a video on the top 10 ingredients that I recommend having on hand so that you're more prepared. And I talk about how I determine what is good and not. And as you can see, we're very deep, and we give a lot of thought to what we are going to have on hand and what we're going to steward. Okay. So I don't just have things to have things. And I'm so happy that I showed you these, because now I can throw them away. I've been wanting to make this video for a really long time, but I obviously do not recommend these headlamps anymore. It's trash. And now, I feel sad that we invested in them, and now I can throw them away and be done. But I don't like having, it's like a burden to have things. So if you have any questions about any of these top 10 things, please comment or email me. And I want to remind you that I shared this wisdom earlier, that if the world considers you a wise person, it's not always a good thing, right? Because the wisdom of this world is foolishness in the sight of God. But sometimes we become fools in the eyes of the world, and we become wise to become better stewards of their resources, the influence, the time, and everything that we have. And I want to remind you, and I want you to think about getting started today. I love the story of David in the Bible, where it talks about how he tells the King Saul that he's going to go fight the giant. And the king says, I bless you to do it. Here's my own garb, my own gear. And David had the humility to try it on, and then he had the wisdom to take it off. I am not trying to burden you with what we're doing. I'm giving you ideas so you can try it on and see in your mind, is this going to work for me? Have the wisdom to know what's not just relevant, but valuable and actionable. David told the king, I cannot walk in these. I'm not used to them. He took them off, and then he used what was in his hand and what he had, and he had victory. So I just want to thank you for watching, and I want to encourage you to do with what's in your hands. What do you have? What do you love to do? What gets you excited about conserving, for being a good steward of the environment, for saving, for being efficient and effective, and knowing that you're preparing yourself to be, with each step, with each thing. This didn't happen overnight for us. I've always wanted to be more and more resilient. It's just something that I'm excited about. But even if it is not about becoming, a pioneer, living off the grid overnight, it's not going to happen overnight. If it's not about just being off the grid right now, it's how can you become more resilient? So if I couldn't go to the store for a long time, like I couldn't buy soap, at least I knew that I had a means to cleanse myself enough to feel refreshed, right? Because, and you think about, maybe they didn't in ancient times use this trick, but there's a lot of things that we become accustomed to and that we feel like we need, that are not things that have been around for the history of mankind. So I wanted you to be inspired to become more free and more. I don't want you to just totally go in the ditch of like, I don't need anything. These things are all useful to have, and we do have needs, but to become better stewards of our skill sets and the tools and resources that we have on hand, that we keep on hand. And so 20 years ago, if somebody had told me this, I probably would have been crazy overwhelmed and also inspired. But I couldn't do this all overnight. I had to learn how to wash my hair a certain way. I had to learn the best like proportions, ratios of what worked best for us. We've tried so many different toothpaste, homemade and um, activated charcoal and this and that. And I mean, so many things. Okay. I've learned how to knit and I've learned how to crochet in the last 12 years. You know, I had never tried this that I know of. I don't remember using this, but these are all things that like add on to each other. And then we just become more and more resilient. Do I know everything? No, I don't know everything, but I want to know more. And having a humble disposition to be open to, yes, teach me, I'll try it. And it may not be something that works for me, but you know, just be willing to try it. Don't be afraid to be different, because you know what? If you're going to be like everybody else, you're going to struggle like everybody else in the world when the crisis hit worse and worse. It doesn't have to affect you. And to be able to have kind of that arc so that you can have a lighthouse to guide others and people, you know, people were stressed out in 2020. We were not stressed out in 2020. 2020 was one of the best years of our lives. It was a great year for us. We had already been having a really, really hard time previous to 2020. So 2020 was not the year for us. Our first maybe 6, 7, 8 years of our journey, those were the hardest years. And so we endured hardship privately so that we can share with you these victories that we've had also privately. Okay. There is one thing I forgot to mention to you, and this is a video for another time, and there is also a video where I talk about products that we use for health. But I mentioned to you, you know, I make like my own magnesium spray, and that helps with so many things, for migraines, for cramps, leg cramps, and things, you know, creating your kind of taking back, taking charge, taking back your health. But there's this thing here, and again, I'll just have to post links because I want to wrap up this long, extensive video. But if you don't know about this is liposomal vitamin C. And as you look for alternative ways to deal with or to steward your health, I invite you to watch a documentary that is still thankfully available online. It's called Living Proof, and I will try to find it again and put the link on here for you. Part of this journey is just seeing how other people have been resilient in all these areas of life and overcome in such a great way, coming back from a coma with vitamin C treatments from, at that time it was the swine flu and things like that. But there's nothing new under the sun, friends. So as we learn from ancient paths, as we learn from people that have gone before us, and as we share knowledge, we can become more resilient. And I thank you so much for watching. May the Lord bless you and keep you, shine his face towards you, be gracious unto you, turn his countenance towards you, and give you shalom peace. Remember to write down some actionable items that you are going to start doing today. And leave me a comment or email me and let me know how this video has impacted you. It's been on my heart to do it for a really, really long time. And I hope it'll bless you. This is hopefully one of many that I will probably, like I said, break down and do more in-depth videos about probably personal care, because that is an area that we need on a regular basis. But let me know in the chat what you want to hear more about. Let me know in the chat what were you inspired to start doing today. I want to hear about today, not just someday. Someday has become today, because if we have a major crisis 3 weeks from now, let's say 3 weeks from now, there's a total shutdown. you already were so prepared, and you're not going to panic for yourself and your family that you can't make it to the store, or that you don't have the means, or whatever else, because you're outside of that whole consumeristic ecosystem. You have become more resilient. May the Lord bless you. Have a blessed day. And I so look forward to hearing your feedback on this topic.